2, 1.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening again.
Good evening.
Well, I hope that you had a good day today. Am I right? Did you have a good day? Well, this was a nice day of October. Very good to stay outside, and for the students, very good to stay in the classrooms. Am I right? You enjoy your day of school today. Well, welcome back to this seminar. This is our third lecture or third night of this seminar that provoked your minds and well, challenged your interest to be here for the third time. And just let you know that there will be a total of 10 presentations. I hope you didn't miss any and you are not planning to miss any from now on. Just a few words about this. This seminar is all about how can you stay healthy. How many of you want to be healthy? And even more than this, helps you to understand why do you get sick. When you get sick, why do you get sick? Well, Dr. Mueller is going to share with us those secrets of a healthy life. For those of you who are here for the very first time, Dr. Mueller is coming to High Point, North Carolina, straight from Germany. He is a medical doctor in Germany, but also he is known here in the States for his challenging seminar presented in many places. So, if you want your mind to be challenged tonight, you are at the right place. Also, Dr. Mueller offered some DVDs, and as you go out from this building, right there at the exit, you will see a set of 3 DVDs about anxiety, conflict, depression, dealing with the same topics that you will hear tonight and every night as well. You need to take the entire set of 3 presentations for 3 DVDs, I should have said, yeah, 3 DVDs, all together, a pack of 3 DVDs. You need to take all of that package with you. If you leave a donation of any amount, well, make him happy with your generosity. Also, Dr. Mueller is willing to offer you a free consultation and a free counseling session. If you want to take advantage of his presence here, well, he won't be here for the entire year. He's here just for this week, and he has a very limited time. Many people already scheduled their appointments, so feel free to talk to him after the meeting, schedule your appointment, and he will be glad to share his time with you. Well, once again, let's, well, before we welcome Dr. Mueller here, we do have some guests who would like to bless us with their gifts, and Mr. Liga is going to introduce them to us.
Yes, just we made a custom. Every night may have a little bridge between outside weather and inside heart. So tonight we proudly present the first choir of the Tri-City Christian Academy, high school choir. They had in the past elementary choir, but I don't think that ever was a choir named high school choir. Is that true?
Yes.
Yes, good. So I would like you to introduce guys as a new, brand new, original high school choir of the Tri-City Christian Academy. Thank you for being here tonight. It's not easy, having all around a lot of assignments and a lot of things to do. You are here tonight for this presentation. Let's come up and give us some good music. high school choir, PCA. One more time, I hope that some of your friends or your parents, we sent a link today. Again, the third session is broadcast live on YouTube and will stay there, will archive there. For easy access, we just put a new link, which is easy. And you might receive it into the Facebook, or maybe started tomorrow night, Dr. Horst will put it on the first page there. But even for the first presentation, he got the promise to redo it, and we can record it and have the whole series of presentation. Dr. Mueller?
Good evening.
Good evening.
It was a good day today.
Beautiful.
It was warm. I got some sun, doing my workout in the sun. We will continue to not lose much time, because all night we have more and more things to cover. So it's good to move on. So we remember that we want to put everything on a solid base. You see, I never am satisfied to be on a ground where am I insecure. And sometimes people say, you're too absolute. I say, I'm not absolute, but the law on which I stay is absolute. And so we must stay on something that no one can change. Imagine you would present something, you would say something to your patient, and it would not be true. What would that be for a result? And so I want to be true. I have to say to my patients something that is unchangeable, so that they don't need to believe me, but they need to see that it is a law after which we function. And it's not enough that we have a knowledge of it, and it's not enough that we might do certain experiments or experiences. We must put all our experiences and all our experiments on a foundation that cannot be changed, and that must be the law as a measurement. I must say this for my own life. I need something that no one can change, and the law of nature is unchangeable. And you will see everyone who understands it and puts it into practice, it will make his life very balanced. You're not going neither to the right nor to the left. Yes, you stay there where everyone should be and stay, because the law just is a great thing to not make you extreme. Is there truth in extremes? No, there's never truth in extremes. That's why only the law can balance us to not go into the extremes. So let's see, we have these 4 things. I hope you will see them every night. We need the fundamental law, we need the structure, we need the needs that we know, and we need to know where function starts, so that we have a foundation, like I said before, that cannot be moved by our own subjectivity. So we saw yesterday the human structure, and we saw that there are theories out there about how the human is put together, and we saw the biblical and the lawful model, which is, here we have the body, and in the cortex we have the whole body, and above there we have the spirit, and the spirit is an entity that can only work like the body can only work when they are together, and that be together is the soul. Now I give an example that we might understand how all 3 together are. So I say the body is the piano. Yes? And the keys of the piano is... Can I move to the piano?
Sure, sure.
The key is the cortex. Yes? So the cortex is the key,
And now the question is, the spirit is the player. Now, what is the soul? So if the piano is the body, the cortex is the keys of the piano, the spirit is the player, what is the soul? Music. It's the music, yes? Can there be music from the piano alone? No. Can there be music from the player alone? No, you need two elements that coming together, working together, make a new element. So the soul is that which comes through the combination of spirit and body. So when they separate, then what dies? Soul. Only the soul dies. Yes? The body, as the earth goes back to be earth, the spirit goes back as a breath of life to God, but the soul, the music, disappeared. So as simple as it can be. So let's see how they work together in this. So everything that we perceive through our eyes is perceived by whom? By your spirit. So when you see something, yes, you need your eye that brings the information to the cortex. But that information the spirit picks up and says, this is a picture. This is beautiful or not beautiful. You can never see anything, of course, without the eye, but you can never see anything without a spirit. But it is interesting, I had once a boy who was blind by birth. He was 4 or 5 years old, and he had a preferred color. He never saw colors. So the spirit has an imagination. Yes? And he can imagine things. Do you dream black and white, or how do you dream? You dream in colors, yes? So how did it happen? Because your eyes are closed? Yeah? So it's that what comes between the cortex and all that what we have stored there, but the spirit has the only way to see things. There is no capacity in the body to see something. And I know why I emphasize this so much, so that we understand the process. Then hearing, of course, only the spirit can hear. Who can feel? Can the body feel? No, the feeling comes, or the body sends to the spirit an information, but only the spirit can feel. Everything you feel is only possible through your spirit. So it must go beyond the cortex, so the spirit can pick it up and say, this is pain. And then everything we smell, everything we taste must come from there. So we must know there is a continual co-working between body and spirit. And everything, of course, that weakens the body, weakens also the spirit. Yes, when we do something to our brain by drinking alcohol, who has the problem? The spirit has the problem because he cannot now think so much. You see, it's now many years I don't eat chocolate. You know why I don't eat chocolate? Because chocolate is made of cacao. Cocoa? Yeah? Cocoa. Okay, that's English. And this cocoa has certain things in it that makes your brain to shut down. And then you feel free, relieved, like with the alcohol, with the drugs, it's the same process. You feel relieved, and so you think, oh, that's good. So you eat more chocolate. more chocolate. But since I know that this thing, of course, it's about also the measurement, yeah? But if you know that something makes your brain work slow, would you use it? No. I would never use something that made my brain go slow, because I know then my spirit cannot think well, it cannot do the things, the calculation correctly, and so that's not very smart to do, is it? If we want to have a spirit that is fit to work with the body, we must preserve the body in its best fitness. And so we must know how that works. And of course, it is first working through our thoughts, because through what the spirit decides. Now, to make a conclusion of all this, to see that the spirit and the body are distinct entities and not the same. And they are only connected in the soul. So there is no function, neither of the spirit nor of the body, if they're not connected together. So that connection we call the soul. But only the spirit can act for himself. That is, the body always listens to commands. It has no action of itself. When the spirit is not present, when a person dies, how much does the body anymore? Nothing. He's just decomposed by the bacteria and the worms. He can do nothing. So everything the body does is only enabled through the action of and the presence of the spirit on the cortex level. Now, the spirit cannot be forced to act. We saw that last night. And the body can be forced. We can smash him. We can do him harm, while we can never do harm the spirit by directly, forcing him. We can do him harm because he must feel everything we feel, but you can never say, you can never force him. He must himself act and do it or not do it. So only the spirit can think, see, hear, feel, taste, smell, and decide. The body, the brain, our limbic system has no capacity for decision. When you read neurological books and neurophysiology, you will always read that there are some functions in the brain that he can think. Forget it. It's nonsense, because by the law, nothing physical can think or even can produce a thought. It's only electrical impulses that we find in our body. The brain cannot decide, it cannot think, cannot feel. We only use it for that purpose. Only he can move the body. The body has no capacity to move itself. Only with our spirit we have relationship with each other, with God, and with animals. We don't have relationship with our bodies. Our body cannot have a relationship because he is just composed on matter. He can store the information about our relationships that we store in our brain, but he cannot have any relationships. So it's the spirit that connects us to God. It's the spirit that connects us to the humans. It's not the body. Now, let's see the responsibilities of the human spirit. We need two things. We need electricity and we need chemistry. The electricity comes through the thoughts of the spirit, and the chemistry comes through breathing, eating, and drinking. Those are the two needs that we have on body level. And what is the spirit's role in the human life? Every process that happens in the body is governed by the spirit. It starts with the nervous system, the hormonal system, the immune system, the digestive system, and the blood sugar, and everything in our body is balanced through the spirit. And this is very interesting with people who have diabetes. Yes, diabetes and the glucose in our body is a very nice indicator of how the spirit thinks. So, I had a patient, she was 69 years old, and she got her diabetes when she was 65. And she came into my practice having this fancy insulin pump, having also some receptors in her skin that measured the sugar every 20 minutes and send it to the device. So on the display on the device, she could see how her blood sugar was. And when she showed me that device, I said, oh, I got an idea. I said, have you ever seen what happens with your blood sugar when you have a spiritual event? Now I was thinking on something negative, but she told something positive. And that was the following. She said, oh yes, whenever I hear that my grandchildren come to visit me, I am very happy. What happens with the blood sugar? The blood sugar, who is always high, yes? He says it drops down immediately. She says, I have 2 arrows on my device that shows my blood sugar goes down. So what would be the best therapy for this lady? The grandchildren all the time, she would lose her sugar. Because she would be all the times how? Happy. And you will see that happiness, Solomon, and this I have to say, I had in my practice, when I started almost 15 years ago, I thought, what could I put on the wall as a motto for the practice? And so I found a Bible verse that sounds very medical. It says, a merry heart is good like a medicine, and a broken spirit drieth up the bones. And says, that sounds very good. And my friend put it there on the wall in stone written, with the healing was with golden, you know, very nicely. Maybe I make next time a picture to show it. And when I put that on my wall, I never knew that I put the whole medical knowledge on my wall. You see, wisdom is in many words or in a few words. A few words is wisdom. And Solomon, in one sentence, says the whole medicine. He says, if you are happy, you cannot get sick. But if you have a broken spirit, that is unhappiness, then you dry up your bones. He even knew where disease starts, and that is in our bone marrow. Solomon knew much, much more that and he discovered it. He wrote it down, but if we are not paying attention to what we read, we might miss it. So the blood sugar and its balance is a very much a great indicator how happy a person is or how sad a person is. Because the blood sugar just shows it. And I can tell you many stories. If we would be a chemical system in which chemistry would balance our body, then you would say, you take this kind amount of calories and you take this. When I am under very stressful situations, and she explained me one situation where she was in a court, and court sessions are not very pleasant things for certain people, and so she says, my blood sugar started to go up, and I immediately put some insulin. But what happened with the blood sugar? It started going still up. And then she gave more insulin. And what happened? It still goes higher. You know when it dropped? When she left the court. But then insulin suddenly worked, and then where did the blood sugar go? Down. So, if we want to balance our hormones, yes, you can take hormones, but believe me, you will never fool the body. You can try to balance everything in your body with chemistry, because in the end, it's chemistry that is disbalanced by what we think. But if we don't change the input that brings the balance or the disbalance, then we never solve anything. This is why we keep having more and more diseases. You know, you start with some thyroid dysfunction, you take some thyroid hormone. Then, after a few years, there comes the next disease, you get high blood pressure. It's from the same situation, from the same sadness that you didn't know. And then you give there some medication. Then you put there the symptom to shut down. But then the symptoms must go to another place. And so you never can fool the system. Nature you can never play with, and we should never play with. We should understand it. And what we think is that what keeps all the balances. Medical doctors know that blood sugar is sometimes very, very hard to balance. And that what they do mostly today is they do psychotherapy to these people, or psychoanalysis. And with this, they have more success than with medication. Because that proves that everything must start from your cortex. Your spirit guides the hormones. He does it through the electrical input. And also he decides what you eat and not. So who is responsible for our health? It must be our mind, our spirit, that takes a decision for the right or for the wrong. But who is the measurement for what is right and wrong? Let's take the piano again. When a person says, I can play piano, how can he prove it? Where does the tone coming out? From the spirit or from the body? No. The player will never have any tone. Every tone comes out of the body, of the piano. That's why on the body you can have that measurement that proves if the spirit can play or not play. So on the body I can, in an objective way, prove the subjective. This is my hardest or my best evidence for what I share. The tone or the piano can never lie, because it only reacts to what is put in it. And on the piano, I see who cannot play it. So for our thoughts, our body is the measurement. So you become objective on something that is subjective. And what we think is subjective, yes? But what the body does is objective 100%. You can never fool it. So let's see my first case. This was my first case. I don't know after how many years I got to see the pattern. And this is my first case. I always share because it is just a simple case and it opened up for me a whole new world. So this lady is 30 years old and she comes into my practice with severe headaches for 2 weeks. The primary doctor gave her medication, no pain medication worked, and so she finally he sent her to the ENT and says maybe she has a sinusitis or something, so let the specialist look into that. Now I looked into her nose and I found there just sunshine. I saw her face, she was full in pain, and I said to myself, maybe she has a tumor, maybe she has a bleeding in the brain. I sent her urgently to a CT scan, and she came the same night back, the same day not back. She was the last in the evening, and she had the CT scan with her. And we looked to the scan, and we found how much tumors? Okay. No tumor. We found no bleeding. We found no sinuses. All the pictures were perfect. Now, is this your phone? Ringing? So, can I speak? What am I doing with this lady? Can I tell her, look, all your pictures are right. You must imagine your pain. Go home. You have nothing. Can I do that? No. Why cannot do that? What is pain? Objective or subjective? Now, you just fooled yourself. Yeah. If pain is subjective, then I can tell the patient, go home, it's just your imagination. Pain, or anything you perceive, is always objective. Just your perception is subjective. But what you perceive, pain, you can never have if the spirit is not there to feel it. So pain is objective because it comes from the limbic system. You know, from the body, it goes into the cortex, and if we would do a functional MRI, we would see that in the cortex, there where we have the pain sensor, where the spirit picks up the pain, we would see that there is a increased metabolism. And we could prove that this lady has headaches because they are objective. Even a ringing in the ear, you know, it's just a metabolic problem in the cortex. And we can fix it, we can even see it, because it is chemistry that the spirit picks up as a tone. Here it picks it up as a pain, and there the spirit picks it up as a noise. And if you have some smell disorder, you might smell certain things that are not present, but the spirit still smells it, because through the body it goes into a wrong direction. So we must know what the body brings to the spirit is pure objective. That's why I cannot let this lady go home and say, look, I don't know what to do. I must find out why she has headaches. Now, you can have headache, inherited or not inherited. We go those 4 things through it. Can you inherit X? I mean headache or any pain, can you inherit it?
Yes.
Never. There's never pain inherited. Yes? That's because that's an active situation when you have pain. Yeah? You cannot even have pain after an accident after 7 years. That's not from the accident, that must be another cause. Because the accident heals in a few, let's say a year. But after that, if you have pain in that area, it does not come and cannot come from the accident. So we must know pain is something active. Pain is something acute. There is something going on right then in your cortex that makes you pain. So pain can never be inherited. Now, we can have pain by having injury. We can injure our head, can we? Or we can injure anything, and then the spirit must feel the pain. But this lady did not fall down. She was not hit by something. Her head was not injured by anything. So I could rule out the injuries. Then, did she eat that week, those 2 weeks? She didn't change anything in her diet. So I said, what can I do now? And so then my question was, what happened 2 weeks ago? And then she says, 2 weeks ago, my boyfriend betrayed me. He was unfaithful to me. And since then, the lady has headache. She can hardly sleep. She's so enraged that she says her deep pain to all the people around at work, thinking it gets better. Now, what is this for an event? A physical or a spiritual event?
Spiritual.
Pure spiritual. Did the boyfriend touch her body? Okay. Now, what is pain? Does pain warn the other person that it does something wrong, or does it warn you that you do something wrong? Yes, when you use your hammer and you don't, you cannot, what's this?
Finger.
Yeah, you hit your finger because you cannot hit correctly the nail. Yes? When you have the pain, does that pain say, oh, hit more? No, the pain says, don't do it again. And it might happen a second time, but the third time, it won't happen except you have a problem. Because then you have learned, pain makes me to not do it again. And so this lady has pain that is objective and comes from the body, but someone needs to do it to the body. So who is it? The boyfriend? Has the boyfriend anything to do with her headaches? That's
No.
so who has only something to do with her headaches? Her own way to think. Yes? Because it's an event that she realizes that comes there, and does it satisfy her need? Is it fitting to her need for loyalty? No. So let's see the process of her thoughts in a very superficial or overview way. So how was the lady thinking in her mind before she heard that the boyfriend betrayed her? How was she thinking about him? I already put it on the screen. She was thinking loving thoughts. And loving thoughts are free thoughts. So free thoughts are most important because free thoughts can never danger or can never make an electricity to your cortex that make a wrong current, that make a wrong response of the limbic system, because free thoughts, a free spirit, can never be harmed. It can never harm the body. So she was thinking loving thoughts, and loving thoughts, how good do they do us? Do they do us good? Yes. There is nothing better than loving thoughts to feel good. There is no drug that makes you to feel so good like when you have loving thoughts. Yes? Younger people have maybe more loving thoughts than older ones. But it should be not so. Having loving thoughts make us very happy. You never have headaches from loving thoughts. You cannot. Because it's impossible. Our brain was made for a happy spirit that through his happiness makes an electricity to the brain that just makes the brain and then the whole body function correctly. So, now she hears the news from the boyfriend. Yes? That news comes to her mind. And now she realizes what he has done. And now she does what? How are her thoughts now? So she now is disappointed, hurt, and she has revengeful thoughts. You know that everyone that is hurt has revengeful thoughts.
Yep.
They come up because everything that we experience what is not right is unrighteousness, and we have a need for righteousness, and we must go against it, and we think by revenge we will balance righteousness. So she has revengeful thoughts. Tell me, is she thinking these thoughts with a choice or with no choice? I ask it again. With a choice or with no choice?
No choice.
Okay, now you learn from the way I put question. You see, whenever you think it's yes, it's no. Yeah? So just as an example. If she would have a choice to think different, would she not do it? Would she or would she not? Do you ever get angry because you want to?
No.
No, I never get angry because I want to. It just pop, explodes. No, it is not exploding like it was years ago, but it's still there. The potential but I don't do it because I want. So, I give you another story so to see and prove to you that when you get angry, you don't do it by a choice, but without a choice. There's a lady, she heard in 2010 that her husband, with whom she lived for 35 years, betrayed her with other women since the beginning of her marriage. He was a businessman, and wherever he traveled, he had his women. He had a secret bank account where he covered certain expenses for them, so to keep them for him. And so she heard this in 2010. That is, she was with him since 1975. Now, how was her reaction? I saw the patient in 2013. Was she a free person or a bond person?
Bond.
By choice or by no choice?
No. No choice.
She cannot sleep in the night anymore. And so she drives with her car and she looks to heaven and she says, if I just would know what to do. And she has no solution. She went to her doctor, and her doctor suggested, not such a good idea, but this is what we usually do. He suggested that she should tell her pain to her sons. They have 3 children. A good idea?
No.
What does she do now to her sons?
Pain.
Yes, now the sons get another image of their father. That's a good idea? Never a good idea. So, and will it lower her pain? Will it make her happy? So, she is in pain and she suffers. She cannot sleep because she has no choice. She takes herself as a prisoner. And as a prisoner, the electricity that she does to her brain is a wrong electrical current that leads to a disbalance in her limbic system. And then from there, the whole body is brought into difficulty. Just by what? Who did? She or her husband? Now, when you're 70 years old, are you going to divorce him after 35 years? No, she came with him into the practice to see me. And I know the couple. I also treated him for certain things. And now she's in prison. She neither can leave him. But why does she feel hurt? Or why does she think he hurt her? Is she thinking correct or incorrect? Now let me tell this question differently. Did the husband who betrayed his wife for 35 years did he do her something wrong? Yes or no? Now,
If you promise, yes. Just to be loyal. But he did it to God.
did he do her something wrong? When you think like that, you become a prisoner. The truth is, he never did her anything wrong. Easy to believe or hard?
Hard.
Hard. I tell you why. Because we all are, and this is what we have to figure out, an error in our spirits. And this error makes us to evaluate the things upside down. Because the pain and the sleeplessness in the night proves she's right or wrong. She's wrong. Because if you do the right, your pain will not be there. Disease is an element that must show that when you have it, when you have the pain, it's you that do something which is not correct. You believe something that is totally untrue. But you see how difficult it is for us to see it, is it? Because who would you pity? The lady or him? And don't say both. Who would you pity when you hear the story? Her. But she didn't do wrong. So why would we pity the one that doesn't do wrong? She was never hurt. He did the wrong thing. He is in a problem and we should have pity with him. But we have pity with her. And I can tell you 1,000 or 10,000 or 1,000,000 of cases and they look all the same. There's no one different. The pattern is always identical. Someone does something out of yourself that is wrong. Did the husband do right? No. He did do not right, but he did not do wrong to her. That's what we need to understand. So, anything does something right or wrong outside, but it's never the doer of the wrong that gets sick. It's always he who considers himself the victim of the other. And this is something very revealing. I never found a patient that is sick when he's aggressive. You know, the one that does the wrong does not get sick. Because, we will see how subconscious works, because he is not a victim. Sickness and problems in the human mind can only arise when you are the victim. And you must see that the situation to be a victim is an error, or it comes out of the error. Let's see what is that, what the error leads us to. I found this picture, you see I'm an ENT doctor, and so I put questions. Now I found out that the error has certain ideas in himself, or it leads to. It is effects of the error. The first idea of the error is that my spiritual needs are satisfied by what others are doing. Have you ever asked someone to eat for you? Say, oh, please eat this so that my stomach gets full. Did you do that? No. Have you ever asked someone to love you? All the time. Does that make sense? Can someone's other's action satisfy your need? That's why it's so important to know the law. The fundamental law makes it impossible that what another does makes you happy or unhappy. It's only by what you do that can make you happy or unhappy. It's never, ever possible that someone else can make you unhappy or happy. But we all are in this great error. We believe that what others are doing is important. Have you ever asked your husband what he thinks? Do you think someone can think for you? Yes or no? No. But some ladies, and I have this case, one day a lady asked her husband what he drank in the night. And what should the husband answer? It's none of your business. But he told her his dream. And since then the marriage is an issue. So, is it important what others think about you? Yes or no? Now you see, we have a reason. And we'll see how reason and subconsciousness work together. In reason, we can see the error. But in our hearts, we don't see it. There we say, no, others are responsible for our well-being. But this lady, for 35 years, while she did not know what he did it hurt her? Why did it hurt her? Only after she knew it. I have also the man side. There's a gentleman who hears that after 20 years of marriage, his wife has also another husband as well with him together. So there are women who have two husbands. Now, he is a very famous lawyer and is always on his road, and he's not home early, but he hears after 20 years that his wife has a husband, another man, and that one of the 3 boys that he raised is from the other husband, from the other man. So where did he end up? He ended up in psychiatry. But who made him sick?
Himself.
So by the truth or by the error? You see, at least the Christian should know the truth. What makes the truth with the Spirit? Makes him free. And the error takes him as a prisoner. So whenever the Spirit believes the truth, he's free. But when he believes an error, he takes himself captive. And who can help him? Nobody. If he doesn't understand the truth, he will never get free of that error. So, what other think, what other do, does it matter for your happiness? No. Reason forbids us to say yes. So, let's see. Others must be alive to do it, that is, to satisfy our needs. That's why most people need their dead people. A young man, his mother died, he was 39 years old, and he said, if I would have a 4-carat diamond, maybe it's the most expensive diamond, then I would give it for 1 minute to talk to my mother. His mother just passed away a few months ago. Is that normal? When you are 40 years old, you still need your mom? Unfortunately. Because, you see, I saw that when people die away, people get very sick. Especially when the people were good. When the people were evil, the people get healthy. It's a truth. If you have a husband or a spouse that was a burden in your life and he passes away, every burden goes away and you're healed. You're healed from your diseases. But if the husband was good, then you get sick. I had a patient who got so sick in 10 years. His wife died, and he says, I sleep every night with her, a big picture with her in my bed. And I dream her every night. She's not the only one. I have more of this experiences. And he says, every morning I get angry because she's not there. Why does he do that? Why are his bones just deteriorating? He has severe pain. He has severe rheumatoid joint problem. Because he needs his wife. He would make her what? I ask this sometimes my patients. If you could, would you raise your dead person from the grave? Would you raise them? What did they say? Yes. Oh yes, of course. For whom would they do it? Because they think they need them to be loved, to get from them their need to be satisfied. If we would know that the dead people cannot give us anything, would we ever do something with the dead? I have the experience of one lady, her husband died in 2001, and I met her 2 years ago, no, a year ago and this year again, because she's not in Germany, and she goes twice a day to the grave. And did she get sick? Yes, severely sick. But now I have to explain her. Is she going as a free person or as a bond person? Does she go by choice or by no choice? I say to you, no choice. And I was just 2 or 3 weekends I was in Italy, and I shared a story. And the lady told me, I go 4 times. Since 6 or 7 years since her husband died, she says, I go 4 times a day to the grave. We would never need any psychic, we would never need any person to talk with the dead people if we would know that they do not matter, if they are alive or dead. So, the next. I need to be loved, respected, honored, and praised. Do we think that? Do we think that? Yes. But that brings you into a big pit. And we'll talk about more of that. Now, we say that others are not allowed to betray us, to lie to us, to steal us. And so, we are taught to put boundaries to others. Can you ever put boundaries to others?
Sure.
You can try. Is it a possible try? I could tell you many stories how often I wanted to put boundaries to my wife. And I always got sick by it. Because you can never put boundaries to a woman. Leave her alone. It's just ridiculous to want to put a boundary to another person. That means you must be higher or lower to that person. You must be higher, yes, that's very good. Children say the truth. Yeah? So, we can never put boundaries to others. It's one of the most stupidest ideas. You can never do it. It's just a try for nothing. Now, I judge and condemn them when they are doing the wrong, being convicted. They did it to me. So did this lady judge her husband? Did the man judge his wife? And how did they found them? Guilty. If you judge others, who must you be? If you can say you are guilty to me, are you bigger or lower than the other person? We come to that situation. I have to control time, circumstances, money, goods, and the life of those around me. Have you ever tried that? Can you control money? Thank God you cannot, because they're not yours. Have you ever tried to control time? See, some people come to me and say, oh doctor, thank you so much for your time. I say, I never had time, I will never have. What I shared with you was not mine. But people think, oh, it's my time. You never possess time. If time is you, who must you be? So the more power I have over others, the better I think my needs are fulfilled. Are you a control freak? I just spoke today with a young woman. She reads the messages of her husband because she said, okay, I give you my password and you can read the messages. And this guy must be really sick because he writes with many women. He's married. And he writes really bad, intimate things. And he lets her read it. He lets her read it. And how is she? Happy about it? You know, many are in the control business of others. Why would you control another if he can never give you anything? Or he can never hurt you? Would you do it? Would your reason allow it to you? You see, I make some experiments in my practice. I ask my patient to run and jump through the wall. Did I have success until now? No. Why not? Because reason must forbid you that you know you cannot go through. That's why we will see that reason will play the major role in becoming healthy again and becoming free out of our error that we have in our heart. So let's see on the body the proof what is the error. Now, if I would say to a person, your husband never hurt you while he betrayed you, do they believe me? No. So I say it, but I only say it when I have a proof for it. And what is my proof? The law and the result of the sickness in the body. So if the body cannot convince your mind and your reason that you're wrong, then I wonder who can ever convince you, because the body can never lie. The body is a measurement, because it goes exactly after that what was there. So let's see, the body has two needs. We saw it, chemistry and electricity. Both needs, according to the law, must come from inside or from outside? Must come from outside. So we take the stomach here as the reservoir for the food, and we take the spirit as the reservoir for love, that he made the right electricity to the body. So now there are three questions that we need to answer correctly, and then we have set all things right. Who, how, and from where do I have to fulfill the need? So let's take food, because it's easy. Who is responsible that your body has the right food?
The spirit.
Yes, the spirit, but who? Me or the spirit of my wife?
Me.
Me, yes. My wife can prepare the food, but if I eat it or not, it's me, yes? Me to 100% to fulfill the need of putting food into my stomach. But now, well, how do we do it? We all know it by eating. What is eating? Taking or giving, according to the body?
Taking.
If you give something, yes, you will see everything you take, you must give. The law does not permit it otherwise. So, you take it, but when you eat, you give something. So, can you ever eat something that you don't take before? Can you sit on the table here and say, come eat? Will it work? No, because there's nothing to eat on the table. And we cannot eat phones. No. There's just spiritual food. So we must take first in order to give. And this is what? The fundamental law of every being. We must take in order to give. That's why the fundamental law is so important to understand. And from where do we take the food? From nature, because if you go to the shop, it also comes from nature. Okay, now, any problem with this? No, but let's come to love. Who is responsible that your spirit has enough love?
Me.
Who is responsible? Me? How much percent?
100%.
Okay, reason is with us. So 100% me. Now how do I do it? I must have loving thoughts. Loving thoughts go towards the others, and then your body gets the best electricity. Whenever you have loving thoughts to others, you know who's best on? Yourself. Because loving thoughts is the best food you can give, and it transforms, of course, in the right electricity to your body. So, must you take those loving thoughts from somewhere, or not? Yes, you must take them, and it works the same. You must take to give. Now, from whom did these three cases, the first lady who got betrayed, the second lady, and the man whose wife had another husband, from whom did they take that they got sick? They took from their spouse, consciously or unconsciously? Totally unconscious. Totally unconscious. Yeah? So, We must learn that. From where do we take? But let's assume, and we are here as Christians, where is the source to take love from? God. So would we ever have an issue when others go wrong? No. Because our fountain to take from and to give is always free. Then we would have pity with the evildoer. We would not judge him to think he did something wrong to us. But since he is our source, since he must be there for me, it's very loving, yes? Do we marry for what purpose? To take or to give? I just asked that question a little bit later. Now the error in us says, you need to be loved. Do you have that need? Everyone believes that he needs to be loved. And there is unfortunately, in only one book, it says it is not so. You know which book is that? All the books that you read about psychology will tell you others need to love you. They always will say it is a given and a taken. To love and to be loved. There is one book that the Christians say they believe in. And that book has a law that is the fundamental law. And it says, how many persons need to love you? Wherever you find in the Bible, one Bible verse that your neighbor has a duty towards you. Do you have one? No, but you have 1,000 that you have a duty to him. So this idea that someone owes me something and the other owes me the most important thing, that is love. Because love is the most important in your life, is it? Yeah. There's nothing more important than love. And now I think others owe it to me. Then I must press and I must sit on the throne and I must say, you owe it to me. And then when they don't give it to you, what happens? You get sick. You get into a fight. Your life is miserable. And I will share my story because I was born like all others on this earth with the same error. Hunting to be loved. And I would always have died on it. Just by the desire that someone should love me. It is the most deceptive idea. Because there is, to be loved is the act of others. And is there in the law of taking and giving an action of others? Yes or no? No. Because in the law, there is no way that others can do anything as individual to satisfy your needs. That's why there is no law. And if we would be believers of the law, if we would know the law, we would know the idea that others owe us something is totally wrong. We see things upside down. And I don't go, and I'm not too absolute when I say that all the problems come from here. It was on our wedding anniversary. We were 30 years married. I'm now 36, so it's a few years ago. And I was driving to my work. I have about 40 minutes to go to work. And while I go to work, I can talk to the Lord. And He remembered me that it is wedding day today. Men sometimes forget that. And so the Lord is good. He reminded me. Because do men need something for their anniversary?
No.
No. But do women need something?
Yes.
Yes, they never forget. So, okay. There are exceptions. However, I knew that my wife expects me to give her something for our wedding day. And so I say, Lord, what do you think would be fit for my wife to give her? And I always talk everything with my Father and my Lord. And I was doing some calculation in my mind. I said, well, my wife likes roses. Roses, it's the 29th of May is our wedding day. The roses are not yet ready. So you find them, but they are not cheap. So I was thinking 30 roses, 5 for 4, €5. 30 roses, how much do I get? 120, 150 euro. I said, wow, that's a lot of things for a poor missionary doctor. So I came at the price. I didn't take a decision. I was just thinking, oh, it's quite expensive for my wife to take 150 euros. However, I had my first patient. You know, the Lord does not answer always the same. He has many methods to answer our prayers. And so this first patient was a lady. She was 24 years old, and she could not eat for 3 days. Now you know why she did not eat. Why could she not eat? I made her examination. Her throat was free. She could swallow, but she could not eat. And so someone brought her to me and said, you need to help her. Because they knew that I do not just put a song in, put some, to force her to eat. So then I talked to her and I said, so what's on your heart? And she says, well, I'm married for 2 years. I said, okay, how long did you know each other? Well, 1 year before. She started to tell me about her husband. And she says, look, just to give you an example how he is. And so she started to share and says, when we got married, he did not want to go in honeymoon. So no, man don't need honeymoon. So he said, no, we have no money and all this. But finally he agreed for 1 week. And so he booked a hotel, 3 nights at the beach and 4 nights in the city, because you know in the city it's more cheap than on the beach. So, and then he did not take 3 meals, but only 2 meals a day. So it's good to not get too big during your honeymoon. And the lady thought that, oh, he took only this, he might want to dine out with me. So she made herself beauty, you know, and said, let's go eat. And says, oh yes, let's go to the grocery store and buy something. Do you like the man? Tell me, do you like it? No. Do you like that man? I know in all of your heart he's anti-sympathetic. You would not like him. Immediately. Did I like him?
Yes.
I tell you, while she was talking about her husband, who did I see?
You.
I saw myself. Did I like me?
No.
Oh, I tell you, the Lord just put a picture in front of me and said, I hate to be like this. And in my innermost mind, I said to God, during she was speaking, I said, Lord, whatever the roses cost, I buy them. I don't want to be greedy, yes, because I hated to see me as I was. But now what do I do with this young girl? I just, to finish the story with the roses, it was just a minute, I think, after I took the decision, my phone rings. And I have an arrangement with my wife. Whenever she calls, I answer. No matter where I am, even in meetings, sometimes she insists, so I have to answer. So, but I say to her, you only call me in emergencies. But you said for women and for men, emergencies are different. And what for a man is an emergency, for a woman might be not, but what for a man is just a normal thing, for a woman might be the highest emergency. Now, so she phoned me and I answered the phone because it was an emergency,
in front of her there, and she said, I just found a rose bush. Yes, a rose plant, yes, in the shop. Can I buy it for our anniversary? That's supposed to be emergency. Yes, I understand. And so what did I say? Now, the answer already I taken, but you have to put that question, how much does it cost? You know, that must come. And so I asked, how much does it cost? And she says, 38 euros. And I said to my man, now maybe you can buy 2, but I didn't say it. She says, yes, you can buy. Because it was much cheaper than 3 times I could have bought that. But you need to know the Lord knows how to make economy and to teach me what He needs to teach me. To get away from my terrible heart that fools me and makes me this kind of a person. And so, now to finish the story with this young girl, I say to her, I say, look, your husband loves you. I must deal with her error because she won't eat. Yeah? So you must help the people in spite of their errors. So I said, your husband loves you. Where did I know that he loved her? He loved money a little bit more than her, but he still loved her. So I said to her, look, today I have 30 years of marriage, and I'm still learning to love my wife. So he's only 2 years old. Give him a chance. He might learn. And while he learns, you just encourage him. You know how a woman can encourage a husband to learn love? She always smiles when she sees him. She always looks nice. She never complains of anything. Isn't that the right woman? Yes. So you help the man. And when you help the man, whom do you help? Because then you can eat again. And I met her 3 months later, and she said it worked. And I was glad, because she was still eating, or eating again, and the marriage was getting better. You know, the lesson to learn is the hardest lesson that we have. Because we always love according to what others are doing. So my last picture for tonight. What is the reason for our relationships? We have a spouse, we have a father, we have a mother, we have children, we have pets. Why do we have them? To love them in order to give them something? Or we have them in order to receive, to be loved? What is the purpose for our relationships? To give or to receive? Now, sometimes people say both. But that means you could go in front and the back at the same time. You can never go into a relationship, it's either or. You either go to receive or you go to give. And how can we prove it? Very simple. Why did this lady get upset when her boyfriend did not love her? Because when he went away, when he betrayed her, what did he say to her? I love you, I don't love you. He says, I don't love you. Yeah, that's why she perceives he doesn't love me, and so she stops loving him. But why did she love him? To receive something. In the moment you don't receive, you stop loving, and then you get sick. Because love, to exercise love, is like breathe and drink and eat. And when you stop it, who has the pain? The one who stops. So, we are in a big trouble because in our error, we think that we are dependent for love from the acts and the existence of others. This is the common bottom. There is no problem except others do the wrong, or there is no problem except they die away. These are the two roots of our issues in our life. Either people act wrong, or they die away when they're good, or they're young. And why? We can never control neither the acts
nor if other exists or not. The error misleads us to think that our life depends on the existence of other lives. Mother makes their life dependent on their children. And when a child happens something, the mother gets very sick and dies away. So why do you have relationships? Do you know why? I tell you a story and I see if you find yourself in it. There was a lady, she was 46 years old, and she said, I want to divorce my husband because he just uses me. Do you have that thought sometimes? Someone might use you? Yes? Those thoughts are deceptive thoughts or true thoughts? They are very deceptive thoughts. They make us very, very unpleasant feelings, and they do not good to us. So I said, okay, do you want to divorce, and do you want to stay alone? Because she was 46, she says, no, I want to remarry. I want to find a husband. I said, why? You know what she answered? She said, oh, because I need someone to take me in his arms, to hug me. I said, oh, you want to... You see, every one of us just goes to use the other. And as long as it works, yes, so it's somehow balanced. He uses me, I use him, and it's fine. The thing works. But the moment I think the other uses me more than I use him, in that moment you're out of balance. And then you get into trouble. And disease is just a natural result of that. But without disease, I would have never seen that we are wrong. But I was born a Christian. I was born in a Seventh-day Adventist family. And I never learned that we do not need to be loved. Because in the Bible, the law says you need to love. You need to take and you need to give. And we'll see that law in one of the nights. It's most revealing to us to understand the Ten Commandments. That when they say just taking, you love God to take and you love your neighbor to give. Whose action else is there involved? Only yours. That's how God made the individual. That is liberty in dependency. I repeat, that is liberty being dependent. We must understand the two things that are different. We are always dependent, and we would be always free if we would be dependent on God. But since we are not dependent on God, we are in prison. The acts of others, who has nothing to do with us, just take us in prison, and we cannot sleep, we jump out the window, or we do whatever we do, while wanting to control the life of another one. And I hope this might open our minds, might open our reason to see that what we expect from others is nonsense. All our claims that others owe us something is totally outside the law of God. And I leave you here tonight. And I hope that you will think of it. It's one, the Bible, it's the law, and it's your body who testifies for it. And if you use your reason, you will say, yes, it is the truth. You cannot change it yet, but you must first see in your own reason that something is wrong in you. And that needs to be changed. Not in the others. It's just in you. Then you will become out of the prison. The truth will make us free. And the law is the truth. It will reveal to us that all our expectations on others are purely selfish and have no ground in real life, only in our imagination. So, any questions for tonight? Tomorrow we go one step further. We will go to see the error. We will find out what is the error, why we see the subconscious and how we work in our subconsciousness. And when the Lord helped me to understand that, it was in the end of 2007, and since then it was one of the most revealing things to know how we all think together, how our mind works subconsciously, and how the electricity is made, and put all things nicely together. So that we will see tomorrow, and from then on it goes more and more into practical things. But of course we must understand the theory first. Our reason must first be convinced what is the truth. Yes, you have a question?
I understand when somebody does wrong outside and it doesn't touch us. Maybe they do something wrong with their own decisions. But how about when they hit you? When
Yes.
they do physical pain to you, how does that?
So that's when it is physical abuse. When you get physically abused, then you still need to evaluate it correctly. Because if you don't evaluate correctly, you get sick. Yes, physical abuse people see themselves victims. And they become, it depends how big the physical abuse is, if it's sexual abuse or whatever it is, they become very sick. So there must be something wrong in the way they perceive and judge that thing. Yes, you feel the pain, but what brings you into trouble is not the act that was done unto you, just the way you evaluate it. And if you would evaluate it correctly, you would think like Paul. Paul, when he was beaten, did he feel it? Did he complain? Or was he glad? Why was he glad? He says, I'm happy to put to this body, which is Christ's body, that pain that is still missing for him. Did he think normally? Was his mind on a normal level? He was on a high level of understanding. When Jesus was beaten, did he say, they beat me? When Jesus was rejected, did he take it personally? Yes or no? No. He said, they do that to my Father. That's why he does not pray, oh Father, help me to forgive them. He just, Father, they kill you, they put you on the cross because I'm yours. Forgive them. With whom did he have pity? With himself or with the evildoers? He had pity with the evildoers. Even to the woman that was weeping. He said, don't weep for me because I'm fine. Weep for you and for your children because you're not fine. We should weep for those who do the wrong, not for those who are experiencing the wrong, because they are righteous. Jesus never lost anything to be unrighteous while he was beaten and misjudged. When he was mocked. He didn't take it personally. If not, he would have come down from the cross and he would have shown them. But nothing of what they did touched him personally. It touched him for them. He was full of pity and said, Lord, help these poor people, my Father, forgive them. But he never experienced self-pity. Never ever. And we as people that learn to come out, we must know when this body is hid, who is hid? Whose property is it? Yes?
You're not saying to tolerate physical abuse.
No, I don't say anything about tolerance. It's just the evaluation. I didn't speak about how to proceed on it. Yes, there must be an action taken, but it must be taken for the good of the other one. and for the cause, not for me. Because if I run away, or if I push back for me, I'm wrong. So it does not just matter that I take an action. I must check the motivation. And we should act as God. When we do mistakes, all consequences He leads to our good. And so when we others sees they do wrong, then we should think, okay, how can we help them to do the right? But we just think on our own pain. And this we must change. Because we must take a stand. There must be a solution. And I even say, people, you must do something. So this lady that today said to me that her husband wrote her those messages to this many women, I said, there must be a stand for that, because there's all ground for divorce. He did break the marriage covenant, and he must see the consequences. But the lady must do it for his sake, not for her. Easier or not easy? No, because in our selfish nature, everything we do for ourselves. We have not even understood how deep our selfish nature has changed us. And it fools us with the good. Yes, we're right. What he does is wrong. But if she divorces him out of revenge, who is more wrong? Or who will suffer more? Yes. And when she then has her breast cancer, whatever she then gets, no one knows why. But no one asks. Yes, she did something. She left. But she left with a burden with herself. But we should not take the burden and keep it. Jesus says, if we would be in the law like him, humble and meek, how many burdens do we bear? We say, my burden is light. But when we have heavy burdens, we must know we must somewhere be betrayed by our error that we have in our hearts. And this error we must figure out so that we know against what we fight. So, consequences, I'm very consequent. God is very consequent. So we don't talk about that, but we talk about for whom do I do it? And Jesus came to save him or us? He came to save sinners. Why do we judge sinners and not want them rather to save them? See how switched we are? And religious people, that's what I experience, are more selfish than the other ones. I don't see so much evil in the secular people that I have around me, but I see much evil in the religious people. And they don't even realize it, that they're more wrong in their expectation. Because they have a high moral expectation, but they don't have it for themselves, they have it for their spouses. They have it for their children. And that brings them in a deeper ditch than the other ones that have lower expectations from their environment. So I'm looking forward for tomorrow night. It will be a very nice lecture. It will be really, I hope, thought-provoking. It's teaching then, but it will be nice because you can look into your heart and see something that you didn't see before.